This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome in, my friends, to a very special edition of Behind the Pen. I am so freaking pumped for this show because not only do I have a guest that talked awesome bull stuff with us, I have a co-host tonight. And this co-host is very near and dear to me because we used to have a tag team duo back in the day, podcasting-wise.
Which one are you happy about?
More so not you, but at the same time, I'm glad that you're here. Luc Behannesy.
I feel that.
Luc Behannesy, thank you very much for jumping on with me on Behind the Pen for today's show.
Thank you for having me so much.
You're welcome. You were on, one of my, second podcast here at Most Valuable Podcasts, right? We talked some baseball.
We talked a whole bunch. We talked about your life, a little bit of baseball.
How much I cry in the corner at night.
That, your hopes and dreams, your dogs. Mainly your dogs.
My dogs, yeah. I got two of them.
Your two sons.
Well, anyway, we got a lot on tap for you tonight.
It's weird.
And specifically, we're going to focus on Chicago sports because this is Behind the Pen. I don't care what you guys think. So we're going to talk about what we want to talk about. Now, hopefully, you enjoy what we talk about because there's a lot to get to, especially baseball-wise.
So much going on. I can't wrap my head around it.
And we have bull stuff, and it's an opportunity for me to bitch some more because that's all I do whenever we talk Bulls basketball.
NBA game finals going on right now as we speak.
Real quick, who do you got? Who do you got? I don't care about the score.
Warriors in 6.
I got Cleveland in 7.
I wouldn't mind.
Wait, are Golden State at home? Do they have home court?
Yes.
You going out on a limb and say yes? This is how much I'm paying attention. Wait,
yes.
They're at home today. Oh, I got Cleveland in 7. I don't care. Let's go. So we got basketball talk. Drew Edstrom from Chicago Now Bulls Block. He joined us for today's show. He's got a lot of insight, guys, so you got to stay tuned for that interview.
Good stuff.
And we'll end it with some Bears talk because I love my Bears, and we got to talk about some Bears. So, all right, let's jump right in. We'll start with White Sox baseball. And I wanted you on, and this is a good time to have you on, Luke, because what's going on with the White Sox right now? I mean, people are jumping ship, right? Let's preface it a little bit because April was fantastic. Right? And even
the first 10 days of May.
Right. Even up to mid-May, they were really good. And then all of a sudden, they lose that one bad game when they were up 11-6 in Texas.
That's where it kind of started.
It started there.
It's where the good luck, the insanely good luck that they had, the insanely very good luck that they had for the first 33 games started to turn around.
So they got a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. Because you remember, the White Sox were winning games by, scoring late and doing all these things, getting into their bullpen.
Yep. They're just winning bullpen games.
Then they took a trip to Kansas City, and my God, that was a disaster. Absolute disaster.
You know what Hawk says, it's not about the team you play, it's when you play them. But maybe the Royals were just on some magical things. I mean, they did just win a World Series.
Special every day.
You're getting beat by Whit Merrifield, Brett Ebner, Chesler Cuthbert, Lorenzo Cain and Hosmer drove in something like 16 runs in the series.
Yeah, and
Drew Butera ripping doubles.
The point is, White Sox fans who were on their high horse at the start of the season,
including me,
legit World Series contender, all of a sudden it's back to
tongue-in-cheek
attitude that a lot of White Sox fans are accustomed to over the last few seasons, and that's kind of upsetting. But we're here today to kind of just chill everyone out a little bit because, yes, we're entering June. As we record this podcast, it is June 2nd. And the White Sox are
in a great spot.
Very, very much alive in the American League because, one, the American League Central, it's like, I haven't seen much from it yet.
The Royals aren't winning 95 games this year, I guarantee it.
So they're going to be in it. I don't know about a wild card. I mean, they could be. It's not out of the question, but I think that the division crown is it.
Second wild card spot might take more wins than the division this year.
So
if everyone on the Royals keeps getting injured.
White Sox can get in. No doubt. Because what? Todd Frazier's leading the league in homers.
Yep, 17.
And let's say this
as
now.
of before tonight.
How much do you care about batting average? Because if you do, you think Todd Frazier sucks. And if you do, you think Anthony Rizzo sucks. But obviously that's not the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, if anyone uses batting average to justify anything, I don't listen to anything they say ever. It's all about context. What is that average? It's the numbers behind the average. A guy hitting 300 with all singles and no walks is nowhere compared to a guy hitting 150 with 15 homers and all walks.
And
Batting average tells you absolutely nothing.
You want to look at on base and slugging, the OPS, because that's a real tell-all of your main contributors, like in the lineup, like Melky and like Todd Frazier. So these guys,
OPS will tell you some good things.
Yeah, and these
OPS
guys.
plus tells you
I think
more.
this lineup. What do you think, Luke? Do you think this lineup is good enough to compete in the American League?
As long as Robin Ventura isn't ruining it, which he does every day.
You brought up Robin Ventura. I wanted to stay away from this conversation, but we got to talk about it. Now, what do you think the future of Robin Ventura is? Because now, before we get into this conversation, I know you're chomping at the bit, but I want to say this first, because it's always about, how much value does a manager have? Like, does he bring upon wins to a ball club? Well, his job is to take his roster, manage it, put out a lineup card, manage a bullpen.
Manage the personalities.
That too, and create a philosophy inside the clubhouse that everybody can vibe to. Now, I think that is a very, very important part of a baseball team. Now, it's easy to bring up Joe Madden and the chemistry that they have in that clubhouse, but with Robin, he's more of a laid-back guy, right? He kind of keeps the players love him. He lets the locker room police themselves. So, I mean, what do you think, Luke? Do you think changing at manager position at this point of the season is going to put the White Sox closer to a crown?
Well, let me just say this. What a great juxtaposition of managers we have in this town. We have Joe Madden on one side, who tried to play baseball, didn't make it out of single-A, immediately went to coaching, earned his way all the way up through his smarts and the way he does things and the way he interacts with people, and also just because he's very smart. And then we have Robin Ventura, Major League All-Star, played 16 years in the majors, played in some big cities, LA, New York, Chicago. Gets hired, never had any coaching experience whatsoever.
Didn't even want the job to begin with. He had to be convinced to take the job.
Like, Robin, you want to manage the White Sox? He's like,
Nah.
think about it. But if Joe Madden goes and does something goofy that you wouldn't think for a managerial decision, I'm going to think he definitely has a reason for this.
Right.
He usually
And
has
he
a
usually
reason.
does.
And then if Robin does something goofy like bat Jimmy Rollins second 50 times,
Right.
he's usually going to be like, I was a Major League All-Star. I'm going to go with my gut. I know what I'm doing.
Well, it's like the situations he puts his relievers in too. It's like you see, I'm going to bring up Zach Duke. I know the sample size isn't great, but when you see him face lefty after lefty and he just can't get him out, and then you hear Robin Ventura's justification as, I like the numbers against Zach Duke in this guy's career, like he couldn't hit him. Well,
Hosmer was 2 for 7.
Sure, that was
2 for 9 off.
Now
of
that
him.
was the Hosmer game where he hit that go-ahead base hit or whatever, the game tire, and you had Nate Jones sitting in the bullpen. I mean,
whose numbers are pretty even against righty-lefty. He's nasty against either.
And I mean, it could be arguably said that he is your best reliever in that bullpen. I know he's not I'm not talking closer material.
No,
but
he
I'm
is.
saying,
He is because
Yeah.
if you look at Robertson really struggles against right-handed hitters. And Nate Jones is very equal with both. Because I think pure filth, Nate Jones is the best.
So what do you think? Well, they had Rick Renteria. They hired him to mostly communicate with the Latin players, right?
Yes, and you watched Cubs games. How is he as a game manager?
Well, you know what?
I've heard he's bad.
I think he would still be the Cubs manager if, Joe Madden didn't fall into the Cubs' laps. And
Would he, though?
I think so. Because I think a lot of the guys in the locker room liked him. And I mean, players move around and stuff, but I think they had a nice
smart.
flow in there, and I really didn't have much to complain about when Renteria was manager. But I mean, a lot of people, I mean, not a lot, but people were saying, "Oh, keep Renteria, he's fine." But I'm like, are you stupid? Joe Madden just became available, and he wants to be the manager. Like, you got to sign him, and they did. So I'm happy.
Yes, that's the right decision. Rick Renteria probably, I think he would do a better job than Robin.
You think so?
I think he would. He knows what he's doing more so than Robin, who just kind of does things because he thinks that's how it should be in his head.
What do you think the relationship between Robin and Coop have, between managing arms specifically? Do you think that Cooper has any influence on this?
They're on similar philosophies because I think Robin lets Cooper do his thing.
Robin just does his thing anyway, and so does pretty much everybody in the White Sox. I mean, I think, so the biggest thing I'm getting at here, I think the biggest thing, the difference I see with the White Sox, and I think you know where I'm going with this, is just the energy in the clubhouse, in the dugout, on the field.
It's good.
It's much better than what we've seen over the last couple of years, at least.
Well, true. They also weren't in this position they were in the last couple of years. They didn't see, the optimism wasn't as high. And yes, this is the best team they've had since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
But just the overall incompetency of not having a shutout lefty specialist with career numbers against lefties that are proven to work. Matt Perk, a lefty in your bullpen rookie, started his career with 5 2/3 scoreless innings. He's pitched he's faced one lefty batter.
So are you
Why not try it out?
Are you team fire Robin?
You can't do it yet. They just won 2 against the Mets.
You know the loyalty in that organization. It's going to take something major for them to fire him.
It is. It's going to take
not a bunch of crazy people saying, "Oh, fire Robin."
It would have took this losing streak to go on and on.
Right.
Or a disaster coming up. I don't think it will. I think Robin's going to.
Hey, they got a backup. They got a backup manager on the bench. So if it happens, I think they'll be in fine hands. How much it'll change the team, we'll see. Because the players got to make the plays, got to hit the ball.
Rickon's just as guilty as he is.
Sure.
For keeping Jerry Sands in the team this long.
Sure.
With